What's going on, people? Welcome back to the Fytcast. Well. It looks like our favorite fighter that we love to hate, Jake Paul, has confirmed who he's going to be fighting next. And that is none other than the retired Gervonta Tank Davis. Now, this has come as a bit of a shock to most in the boxing world. And I think because he was just talking about fighting AJ. He was just talking about going up to heavyweight to fight AJ. And from the sounds of it, that fight was very, very close to happening. But due to commercial reasons, that fight dropped out. Now, let's be honest. If that fight took place, if Jake Paul tried to fight AJ, it's possible that many bones in his face, in his neck, would break. He would get seriously hurt. Anthony Joshua is an Olympic gold medalist. Say what you will about Anthony Joshua over the last 4 or 5 years since he fought Andy Ruiz Jr. But put him in the ring with Jake Paul and he is going to seriously hurt the guy. Just look at what Anthony Joshua did to Ngannou. I mean, Ngannou is massive. You would expect Ngannou to be able to withstand punches because he's just such a big guy and he's a trained professional fighter, former UFC champion. But he got knocked out clean, cold by AJ. And so I really don't even know where this thought came from. If it was just PR, if it was just Jake Paul doing his thing to keep his name in boxing and AJ doing his thing, which is a smart businessman and a smart personal brand individual, that he's going to play along with it. He's going to let things go as long as they can because you just mentioned Jake Paul's name and the views come. So let's talk about this fight now. Let's see what's been reported. So it says that Tank and Jake Paul are going to have their exhibition match on the 14th of November and it's going to be on Netflix and it's going to be in Atlanta State Farm Arena. So Tank, who's 30-0-1 with 28 knockouts, was slated for a lightweight title fight rematch with Lamont Roach this month, but that was scrapped after Davis's arrest for alleged domestic violence on July 11th. Charges were later dropped. Paul, meanwhile, was in talks for a major step up against Anthony Joshua, the former heavyweight champion, but negotiations fell apart over network issues, source said. So this is obviously Netflix versus DAZN. AJ probably has a lengthy contract with DAZN, and Jake Paul is pushing the Netflix train. I'm surprised actually, because you would imagine a company like Netflix would have the money to compensate DAZN for any potential breaches of AJ's contract. So I think it falling apart over network issues doesn't really fly in today's day and age. When you got someone like Turkey, I mean, look at what he's done to boxing. I mean, he's brought everybody together. So how can you now at this stage say it was network issues? That's not the case. I don't believe that network issues is the reason why this fight's not going ahead. I think that Jake Paul just decided, I'm not going to die. I don't want to die. So I'm not going to fight AJ. So yeah, I mean, this is going to be interesting because I think this is actually quite an interesting fight for Jake Paul. I think if this fight is actually really happening, I think that this actually gives Jake Paul some credibility. Okay, so Jake Paul is obviously massive compared to Tank. I mean, let's see what the sizes are. So yeah, so Paul is a cruiserweight. And Davis, let's see. So Paul, 28, will have a 7.5 inch height advantage at 6'1". Davis is 5'5.5". Davis is 135 pounds and Jake Paul is a cruiserweight which has a limit of 200 pounds. So this is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. But the reason why I say that this actually still gives Jake Paul some credibility is because Tank is a beast. Tank's not going to stop. Tank's not going to stop. If this is a 12-round fight, Jake Paul is done. He's cooked. He's finished. Jake Paul is going to leave that ring with cuts and bruises all over his face. I don't believe that Jake Paul is going to land anything meaningful on Tank Davis over 12 rounds. I really don't. I don't know if Tank can knock Jake out. If Tank knocks Jake out, it's going to be after a lot of punishment to the body and just lots and lots of headshots in between. So, yeah. I mean, have your thoughts. What do you think? Do you think that Jake Paul stands a chance? I know that the height advantage, the weight advantage is absolutely ridiculous. It is ridiculous. And one meaningful punch from Jake Paul is going to be a lot more costly to Tank than one of Tank's punches onto Jake Paul. But that being said, Tank is a beast. He is a beast. The power that Tank is able to generate from such a small structure, from such a, I mean, he would knock most people out. So I don't know. Are you gonna watch it? I probably am. Here's the question: would you watch this fight if it was Jake Paul versus anybody? And I think this is where the difference lies from a commercial perspective. A lot of the fights that Jake Paul had previously against some of these older retired UFC fighters, no real UFC fan is going to watch that for the fight. Maybe some for nostalgia, but more than anything, people are going to come to watch Jake Paul. So it's Jake Paul fans, and it's people who are interested in seeing a YouTuber getting potentially knocked out. That's not what they've seen. They've seen Jake Paul really do well against those fighters, and fair play to him for that. But in this fight, it's going to be much different. And I think that's what it really comes down to, is that because you got Tank, it adds legitimacy to this fight. So I would watch this fight because actually I want to see the levels. I want to see the levels between a Tank Davis and a Jake Paul. Between someone who's been doing this their entire life, trained and raised in the Mayweather gym, and Jake Paul, who, for all intents and purposes now, I mean, I think he's got a good amount of boxing experience compared to a lot of fighters. I mean, even Anthony Yarde said that he started boxing when he was 19, or Conor Benn said he started boxing when he was 19. So, or 17 maybe. So it's not like some world-class fighters that we have today aren't, like, you don't have to start from 5 years old to become a professional. Even AJ, when did AJ start? Again, probably around 16, 17 years old. He didn't start from 10, 11. And he's the biggest name in boxing. You know, put him in the ring with anybody, you'll sell out Wembley. So yeah, this fight is going to be interesting. I think it's going to be an interesting fight just to see what are the levels. I'm always interested in this. I'm always interested in seeing what are the levels between a nobody or someone who's done some training compared to a world-class athlete. Because sometimes when you watch boxing, you see two fighters and you don't know what's happening. You don't know why they're not engaging, or you don't know why there's not that many punches. Some fights. But that's because the levels are just so high on both of them. Whereas in this fight, you've got someone who's massive compared to his opponent with little experience against someone who's small in size but massive in experience. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. I personally think that Tank would knock out Jake Paul. When do I think that he would knock him out? I reckon. I don't think Tank is gonna try to go for some quick KO on him. And look, for all intents and purposes, we don't really know what Jake Paul's chin is like, especially against somebody smaller than him. So if he can take a beating for an extended period of time, then I think that Tank would knock him out probably by around the 8th or the 9th round. but I don't even know how many rounds this fight's going to have. And if it's on Netflix, is it going to be like, oh, I can't talk about that actually because Jake Paul's suing everyone. But I don't think that Tank's going to mess around. This is going to be very different to Tyson versus Jake Paul, because you're dealing with someone who is in his prime and is a beast and a world champion. So fair play to Jake Paul for making this fight happen. Fair play for Gervonta Davis. Fair play to you. Now I understand why you retired, because the stock went up. As soon as you retired, well, if you want me out of retirement, the price has got to be higher. So I was wondering why did Tank retire, and now I know, because he wanted to get the bag. And fair play to the brother. I actually think that Jake Paul is kind of in a world of his own. He really is just in a world of his own. He doesn't engage with misfits. He doesn't engage with any of the other celebrity or influencer or YouTuber boxing. He doesn't engage with professional fighters. I think the last fight you can give him any credibility for would be the Tommy Fury fight in terms of boxing. So he's not. It's quite interesting what he's done, because he's making hundreds of millions of dollars in boxing, and he's reinvesting that back into fighters as well, which is fantastic, which is great, good for him. But he's just kind of in his own universe. It's almost like the Jake Paul universe, where if you enter it, you get paid, and there's millions of eyeballs. But no one really knows what it is or what's going on, how serious this thing is. No one really knows any of these things when it comes to Jake Paul. But he's doing his thing and he's smashing it, and let's see what happens. I mean, he's big. He's really, really big. Let's see if he can bully Tank. Let's see if he can. I mean, obviously, all Jake Paul's going to do is just is grab hold of him. Is just going to lean on him. It's just going to use his size to try and bully Tank, and Tank is going to have his hands full with that. But Tank is fast enough, quick enough. He's got excellent balance, and I think that's what makes Tank so dangerous, is the positions that he's able to throw some of his shots off from. I think is just, I mean, it's world class, obviously. And Jake Paul's going to find out. So let's see. It's going to be a big guy versus a very, very excellent small guy, and no one seems to care, but everyone's going to watch. So there you go.